Hello, Ace Movie Recaps here. Today I'm going to explain a horror movie titled The Bone Snatcher. You are not scared of ants, but imagine what would happen if numerous poisonous ants came together and someone started to control them. How terrifying would those ants be, especially in the middle of the desert? Well, we will see what happens to that creature in this movie. Get ready! Clive, Paul, and Harvey are a team of researchers who were in the Namib Desert in Africa. They worked for a company that searched for diamonds in the desert. Clive informs them that he has found a location to explore, where they might possibly find diamonds. They all head towards the location, and Paul senses that the place is a bit strange. Paul notices a creepy mask on top of a stick in the desert. Later, they reach the spot and discover an egg-shaped stone. Paul climbs the stone to collect a sample and strikes it with his hammer, only to realize that it's hollow inside, much like people's brains. Anyway, Paul hits it, and it collapses easily, releasing a weird creature that attacks Paul, ultimately killing all three of them. The scene shifts to a lab in the city of Columbia, where scientist Zack is assisting some people trapped in a room. The room's temperature is rapidly dropping and is about to reach -100 degrees. This is due to some kind of glitch. Zack utilizes his skills and solves the problem, saving their lives. His boss arrives and commends him, assigning him new tasks. Zack arrives in the Namib Desert, and his taxi driver abandons him halfway and leaves. After a while, an officer arrives to pick him up and takes Zack to a mining company's base. There, he meets Johan and Lady Officer Mikki. Zack introduces himself as a scientist and explains that the company sent him there. Mikki begins inspecting his belongings, including the machine he has. He informs Mikki that this machine can detect water up to 100 feet underground in the desert. It can also locate weird frequencies in desert. Meanwhile, Titus, an officer, brings a dead snake from the desert. Mikki searches for Zack's entry in a diary, but Johan hides the diary in his pants. Officer Carl takes offense to this and starts beating up Johan. Eventually, Mikki retrieves the diary and leaves with Zack to search for the team that was killed at the beginning of the movie. It remains unknown whether they are alive or dead. They had brought along a large supply of oil, unsure of how long they would need to stay there. Their truck driver, Magda, is a woman. Before they set out, an old man gives Titus a locket with a face that resembles the strange faces on the sticks in the desert. After traveling a bit further into the desert, they come across another truck and two skeletons. Carl examines the skeletons and identifies them as Clive's and Paul's. Mikki informs him that they have only been dead for 7 hours, so it is puzzling how their bodies have already turned into skeletons. Mikki suggests calling the police, while Carl suspects that Harvey is responsible since Harvey's skeleton is missing. Titus calls their attention to footprints, and they start following them swiftly, faster than you would follow girls on Instagram. They continue their pursuit, believing that the footprints belong to Harvey. However, Titus eventually reveals that there were marks of only 2 legs earlier, but now there are signs of 4 legs. Nevertheless, they continue moving forward until they reach the location with the strange face on the stick. When Zack attempts to touch one of the masks, Titus forbids him from touching anything there. Titus realizes that the mask matches the face on his locket, which worries him. He suggests that they should leave the area soon. Magda brings their truck, and they prepare to depart. After traveling for a while, they come across another skeleton. Kurt recognizes it as Harvey's, but Carl still doubts that it is Harvey's body. Carl tells Magda that they should move forward and find the killer, but Magda refuses to proceed because it is almost nighttime and she doesn't want to drive her truck at night. They all decide to stay at that location and spend the night there. Zack, however, is not sleepy and reflects on what he witnessed that day. He takes a box and creates a skateboard out of it, surfing in the desert. Mikki watches him and brings his machine closer, mentioning that it has been beeping for a while. Zack examines the machine and speculates that it may be beeping due to the cold air. Mikki eventually goes inside the truck to sleep, while Zack remains outside. Unbeknownst to him, a creature is observing him. Suddenly, the beeping in his machine becomes louder, indicating that it has detected the frequency of the creature. Jack becomes frightened and shouts, rushing toward the truck to wake everyone up. He informs them that he just saw something near him. Carl looks around but doesn't see the creature, doubting Zack's account. Zack insists that he saw something the size of a bear. Carl dismisses it, saying that encountering animals is normal in the African desert. Mikki mentions that the skeletons of the bodies they found earlier are now gone. Carl suspects Jack and suggests that he might have hidden the hard bones somewhere, similar to adult females. Jack argues that he is a scientist and his purpose is to collect new data, so why would he need hard bones? Titus then informs them about the Queen of the Desert, a creature that preys on human meat and leaves behind bones. Carl finds all of this absurd. Zack's machine picks up another frequency from a different direction. Carl asks Magda to go in that direction, but she refuses to go anywhere at night. The next morning, they follow the footsteps from their truck, stepping out to examine them. Kurt spots the creature in the distance, and Carl shoots at it with his gun. The creature scatters and disappears. They approach the spot, but find nothing except for a skeleton. Kurt places the skeleton in the truck. Zack asks Titus for more information about the Queen of the Desert, and Titus shares a story about how he and his friend were traveling when his friend went missing, leaving only his skeleton behind. Zack becomes concerned. They continue their journey to another location in the truck. Suddenly, the truck catches fire, but Magda uses her skills to extinguish the flames. Kurt inspects the truck and informs them that it will take a long time to repair. Mikki attempts to contact the base, but receives no signal. Zack worries, and Magda reassures him that another truck will be sent by the base within 2 days. They decide to stay there and set up their tents. Meanwhile, Johan is on his way to help them. They keep watch over their tents during the night. Kurt assigns Titus to guard while he goes to sleep. Zack's machine starts beeping again, and when Titus checks on Kurt, he discovers numerous ants swarming over him. The ants have come together to form the shape of a creature. Titus calls for help, but the ants begin to consume him as well. Carl shoots at them, but the bullets have no effect. He pours petrol near the ants and is about to set it on fire, but Magda stops him to prevent their truck from catching fire. Nonetheless, the creature moves away from the petrol, revealing its weakness. Meanwhile, Titus's condition worsens, and Zack's machine starts beeping again. As Zack starts pouring petrol around the truck, the creature tries to attack him. Carl shoots at it, causing the creature to retreat. Carl continues shooting, but Zack tries to stop him, realizing that his bullets have no effect. They engage in a fight, but Mikki intervenes, urging them to work together to escape the situation. They all decide to protect themselves and seek help in the desert. Magda volunteers to look after Titus because his health is worsening. They set out, bringing petrol with them to defend against the creature. After walking for a while, they become exhausted, and Zack's machine starts beeping again. They come across the skeleton of an animal with ants on top of it. Zack explains that these ants carry formic acids that are more dangerous than other acids and have been killing everyone. Suddenly, a storm hits them, and the three of them hold onto each other's arms, forming a circle to protect themselves. After the storm passes, they are unharmed, but Zack's machine is now broken and a lot of oil spills out of a can. They decide to rest under a dry tree during the night, pouring oil around them, but they are too afraid to sleep. Eventually, the creature arrives, resembling Magda's face, indicating that it attacked Magda and Titus. The next morning, they reach the same location seen at the beginning of the movie. Zack and Mikki investigate inside a rock, where Zack reveals that these ants have existed since the dinosaur era. Meanwhile, Johan arrives and discovers the lifeless bodies of Paul and Clive. He takes them out of the rock and points a gun at them, demanding to know what happened to Paul and Clive. They explain that a creature killed them, but Johan suspects them of killing their comrades for diamonds. He handcuffs them and prepares to take them back to the base. However, while Johan is driving, Carl kicks him from the back seat, rendering him unconscious. They free themselves from the handcuffs and restrain Johan in the truck instead. Determined to kill the Queen of the Desert, Mikki informs them about an abandoned mine nearby where the creature might be located. They head toward the mine, with Carl carrying nitroglycerin, a liquid explosive. They leave Johan behind and venture into the mine. Zack manages to repair a generator and turn on the lights, allowing them to go deeper into the mine. Carl spots the creature and tries to face it alone, but Mikki and Zack attempt to stop him. The creature attacks Carl and his leg becomes trapped. Zack fires a gun, diverting the creature's attention. Zack runs toward a deep hole and manages to push the creature inside, saving Carl. Grateful for Zack's rescue, Carl thanks him while the creature pulls him into the hole. Zack takes the nitroglycerin and jumps into the hole, causing an explosion. Zack and Mikki escape the danger, but the blast causes the mine walls to shake. Inside the mine, Zack finds a cocoon that he believes to be the creature's brain. Meanwhile, an army of ants approaches them, ready to attack. Zack uses his long, sharp knife to pierce the cocoon from the inside, killing the creature. As the mine walls begin to collapse, they flee to safety. When they emerge, they discover that the creature attacked Johan, who was helpless due to being tied up. The scene changes, and we see a place, the same place where the taxi driver left Zack. Zack decides to stay at the desert base. Meanwhile, a taxi arrives for Mikki, who decides to move to the city. They load her belongings into the taxi and say goodbye to Zack. We see that the cocoon of the creature is in her bag, carrying death with her in her bag. The movie ends with this suspense. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe for more content.